GOP frontrunner Donald Trump. Take a listen.
The frontrunner in this race, Donald Trump, has actually alluded to the fact that he thinks parts of Obamacare are pretty good. There is no honeymoon period in foreign policy. Okay, you have to know what you're going to do because this is important. You can't just say, well, when I get there, I'll hire the smartest people and they're going to tell me what to do. The front runner in this race, Donald Trump, has said he's not going to take sides on Israel versus the Palestinian because he wants to be an honest broker. When I'm president, we're going to take sides. We are going to be on Israel's side.
Joining me now, Tammy Bruce, Boris Epshteyn, Crystal Wright, and Fred Barnes. Fred, let me go to you. It's interesting because in the Washington Examiner, there was an article, Rubio making fatal mistake if he doesn't attack Trump. I think he's heard this over and over again. Now he's on the attack.
Well, he's going to have to do something with Trump. You know, a poll today showed him 16 points behind Trump in Florida. Now, the primary there is not until March 15th, but Rubio is going to have to win that, and that's a big comeback for him to pull off to do that. So, foreign policy is Rubio's strong suit. It is also, I think, the weakest suit of Donald Trump, and so that may be good ground to plow for Rubio tonight.
Yeah, go ahead.
I disagree on one thing there, that Rubio's strong suit is foreign policy. Donald Trump was doing international transaction while Rubio was still pre-college. So Donald Trump has got a long history of being very successful internationally. What I do agree with Fred on...
Well, can't both of them be good internationally? I mean, this is really weird, this either-or thing. I mean, I think a couple of candidates have brought up negotiating hotel deals is a lot different than negotiating the kind of treaties that are intricate and involve the sort of perhaps government expertise that has always played a role in that.
Well, listen, that may be true. Now, nevertheless, if you're negotiating a big international transaction, I know that from my experience in business, you need to take advantage of any business opportunities, government opportunities, and need to know the law. And Donald Trump has shown to be very successful in that. Now, Rubio is someone who has no experience. He hasn't been in the Senate, has been not present in the Senate, and he hasn't had any achievements. So he can't really attack Donald Trump with that. It's not fruitful.
I think, though, that there's something obvious, personally very different. Donald Trump is simply more intimidating. And our enemies around the world these days, of course, think about strength and intimidation. Marco Rubio exudes youth and inexperience. So that's a major difference. But I also think that Rubio is a reflection of the current establishment, which has failed in foreign policy across the board. So this is the kind of thing, the reason why Trump is exciting so many people, that there is a genuine difference in him with what we know now. We know what we've got. With Donald Trump, there's a chance it could be better.
Crystal, one of the things I think Rubio pointed out was at Mar-a-Lago, Donald Trump, 300 people applied for jobs. 94% of them went to H visas, in other words, non-Americans. I don't know if that kind of stuff is too little too late, but it does point to the fact that, he has hired people who are not Americans over Americans in the past. Will that stick?
I think it could, and I think Marco Rubio brings up a valid point because Donald Trump has been the one candidate who's leading the charge against illegal immigration. Even on his website, his immigration plan specifically talks about reducing the number of H-1B visas and also eliminating J-1 visas that have allowed him to hire folks at Mar-a-Lago. So it's a problem. And I think back to Rubio, though, I'm glad Rubio is fighting for the nomination. I think Rubio needs to make this more about a case of what he stands for and where Donald Trump has flip-flopped on the issues. But when it comes to illegal immigration, Marco Rubio is standing on quicksand, as we all know. He was for amnesty before he was against it. So I think instead of constantly attacking Trump, Rubio needs to win contest and win delegates, as he pointed out himself.
Right. But here's the thing, though, Fred. I mean, and before we even get to Florida, we're talking Super Tuesday. I think Rubio's favored so far in only one state. He's not too far away in some polls in other states. But for him to win, the strategy of laying back, letting everyone fight, and these tussles between him and Cruz, to me, seem nonsensical. It seems like they've only battered each other, to be quite frank with you. Is it, at this point, the right thing to do for him just to go all out and say, let me go after Donald Trump, even though he is intimidating?
I don't think he intimidates Rubio, and he certainly doesn't intimidate Ted Cruz. But look, next Super Tuesdays may be a rough day for Rubio. There's no state he's assured of winning. There are a lot of states that it's clear that Donald Trump's going to win. Ted Cruz, to his benefit, is ahead in his home state of Texas in polls now. Now, I don't think he's got that locked in. I think Trump could still beat him there. And if Trump does beat Cruz in Texas next Tuesday, right, I think Cruz is out of the race. And that, more than anything else, will help Rubio.
We're going to talk a little bit more about that as the show goes on, because there's a lot of pressure on both of those candidates, Rubio and Cruz, to step aside so there can be just one challenger to Donald Trump. But, Boris, tonight, what do you think? How do you see the debate playing out?
I think Rubio is going to go after Trump, and maybe with this attack about Mar-a-Lago, which is not thoughtful at all. Donald Trump has been outspokenly in favor of legal immigration. I'm a legal immigrant. To make that distinction is extremely important. When he talks about immigration, it's about illegal immigrants.
But giving foreigners jobs over Americans does kind of go against that. That's the crux of Mexicans taking your job. Isn't that the same thing, whether it's legal or not? Doesn't that go to the core of his foundation?
The crux is that people are here illegally, and they take those jobs illegally.
So you're okay with foreigners coming in here legally and taking American jobs?
I'm okay with it.
Yeah. And you think Americans are okay with that? They're going to go on the lever and say, I want to vote for the guy who's going to open up the legal floodgates so people can take my job.
He hasn't said that. What he has said and he has done
but that's
is
what you're
he's
saying.
Following the law as it is. What I'm saying is we need to have rules in place that allow Americans to get the jobs they want.
But
if there's opportunities for people outside of the United States to come in and use the legal process, be here legally, and feed their families, we should allow people to do so, but not at the expense of jobs.
The problem right now, I'll go to you, Crystal, but the problem right now is that we're in an economy where it's hard for the average American to do that, Boris, feed their family.
But the problem, too, Boris, is that Trump can't say one thing and then do another on illegal immigration, which has been his key issue that has propelled him to the top of the GOP field. I mean, it looks bad that he's favoring foreign workers at a resort over American workers, and he claims, oh, he's going to, I'm going to build a wall, I'm going to build it high and build it strong. So I think tonight, Rubio, that's Rubio's window. If Rubio can kick that door down and hammer Trump on that, then, I mean, we'll see. Maybe he'll change the paradigm for himself.
One second. Let's bring in Tammy. Listen, we know we're talking about Teflon Don anyway, right? Sure. But nothing has stuck. But this, in my mind, if you're going for gusto, this is maybe Rubio's already opened this up. He sent this email out to all the reporters, and it's starting to leak out.
Well, look, I think what we saw with Iowa is when Donald Trump skipped that debate, he lost Iowa. I now think because of that reason, if he is perceived as either mocking or ridiculing the voter by being hypocritical or by thinking first of himself and not presenting things truthfully, because he's supposed to be also telling it like it is, if it can be shown that, in fact, he doesn't, that is the kind of thing that is inspiring people that he does. That could have an impact. But I do think that Rubio has to go after Trump because of, obviously, the new Florida poll where he's so far behind. And in doing so, and if he can really – look, if you can be president of the United States, both Rubio and Cruz have got to show that they can deal with Mr. Trump. If you can't, then they don't deserve to be in the White House. I think that this matters, and I think that Rubio can deliver it. We'll find out. This is why we have the primary season.
What about Ted Cruz, Boris? What do you think he's going to do? Because, again, I think he's wasting a lot of time going after Marco Rubio, particularly on these intricate, it's kind of confusing to the average voter. Some of the things that they talked about in the debates have gone over people's heads. We just know it's negative.
Cruz has been focusing on Trump. He just failed at doing so. He won Iowa because Trump skipped the debate, and he won Iowa by a small margin. Trump's victory has been much larger than Cruz's victory. Cruz has no shot at being the nominee. The longer he stays in, the more chance it is that Trump is the nominee. And right now, that chance is 99% as it is. If it was another candidate right now, not Trump, having won 3 states in a row, if it had been Jeb Bush, we'd be saying he's the nominee for certain.
There have been historic presidents where people have come from behind, even in a deeper hole than that.
Well, actually,
on the Democratic side.
Bill Clinton lost 10 of the first 11 contests, and he became the nominee.
So, I mean, it wouldn't be unheard of in presidential elections. Fred, let me go to you, Fred, though, on this. Do you think that's true that it's 99% locked up right now?
No, but he certainly is the favorite and a strong favorite at that. I agree that winning 3 contests in a row and losing Iowa has never been predictive of who the nominee is going to be. New Hampshire, South Carolina, Nevada, they have been. So Trump has put himself in a very commanding position. If he can win 8 or 9 of these primaries next Tuesday, and it's quite possible he will, it's even going to be harder for him to stop. And then if he beats Cruz, And then Trump on March, Trump beats Cruz.
He's beaten so many people, he's even
beaten
beaten himself, Fred. Hey, let's put it this way. We all know that the Trump train has become a locomotive. All right, let's leave it there, guys. And, of course, at home, you don't want to miss the Fox Business Powerful Political lineup. Now, Saturday, we've got Lou Dobbs. He kicks off our South Carolina Democratic primary coverage. That's at 5 p.m. Eastern. He'll be followed by Neil at 6 p.m. And then, well, next week, the biggest day for 2016 thus far. This could be the last nail in the coffin. We're talking Super Tuesday. We're going to bring it to you minute by minute, all the details as the polls close.